Hi, folks. Welcome. I'm Dan McDermott. This is Google Plus Week, our unofficial look at pretty much the world's newest and we think coolest social network. Joining me, several callers on the line. If you'd like to join us, the number is 818-688-6625. You're more than welcome to join in the conversation. First up is Prisoner. Prisoner, welcome, sir.
Howdy. How you doing this week?
Doing quite well. I know you've been busy coming up with some topics, and we have a topic list that is open for anyone to edit. If you'd like to check that out, you can go to my Google Plus page, which is at the bottom of the screen, gplus.to/McDermott, and you can add topics yourself, etc. So first up, I posted something. There was an article in the news about Google Plus. I don't know. They were saying that the traffic was that people weren't spending as much time as they were the first week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks when it was exploding. And in my opinion, it's the new restaurant smell has worn off. In my post, I equated it to a restaurant where a new restaurant opens up, and if it's a chain, then they open with a bang, and they have a soft opening one night, then they open for the public, and everything runs smoothly by and large. If it's a mom-and-pop shop, if they're smart, they'll open quietly for a week, 2 weeks, and then do the newspaper article, and then they get completely slammed. If you're not ready for that, then you fall apart when you get all that traffic. But people like to go to the new restaurants. It's fun. It's exciting. They check it out, and then okay, that was cool, and then they go to the next new restaurant. And so a lot of folks, in my opinion, signed up for Google Plus because it was new and they wanted to check it out. Okay, cool. And then they went back to Facebook because that's where all the friends are. But over time, as Google Plus, which is still technically in closed beta, although anyone can get in, it's not done. It's going to look very different in a week or in a year, or in a year or 2 years down the road compared to what it looks like now. And I think that as these new features come out and they refine things and make it better, especially some gripes that a lot of folks have, and Prisoner is sort of a spokesperson for them, unofficial, but an effective spokesperson for the gripers. And anyway, that's my opinion. And then Prisoner, you kind of got into it with a couple other people. Just a friendly, a lively discussion ensued. So why don't you tell us about that? Tell us what your thoughts are on that whole concept.
Well, first of all, I think that's one of the great things about Google Plus is that we can get into these great, elaborate, long discussions about it, about anything. I happen to get into it a lot about Google Plus. And you're actually seeing this a lot this week. There are a lot of articles coming out. You had cited a TechCrunch one, but I've seen a lot more articles this week talking about how maybe we made a mistake about this Google Plus thing, and Facebook's looking pretty good again because they've been launching a bunch of new features. So people are talking about how maybe it's time to go back to Facebook. And in the conversation that we had as part of your thread, as we kept going off on the restaurant analogy, people were making comparisons to, well, maybe Facebook is McDonald's and Google Plus is, that nice 4-star restaurant. And I said, well, I'm not so sure that Google Plus is a nice 4-star restaurant. Maybe it's that boutique hot dog truck that's on the corner on Wednesdays. I don't know if you know the New York City phenomenon about food trucks, but you're getting some very high-scale food trucks showing up on corners, and they publicize where they are every week, and people just flock to see them because they've got good food, but, they're just a food truck. They can only service a very limited number of people. So we had some back and forth about that, and I think the cornerstone of where it's going is that a lot of people who are defending Google Plus right now, who are just so into Google Plus and can't see themselves going back to Facebook, are defending it so staunchly because they had such a negative experience on Facebook, and they kind of want to get away from, as I've seen a lot of other people put it, those unwashed masses over there. And that kind of bothers me that we're turning this into a classist thing almost. Even Google kind of, drew to your restaurant analogy early on when it talked about how the real names are kind of making sure you have a shirt on for their restaurant type thing. No shirt, no service. So I don't know, that whole attitude kind of worries me because I see Google Plus as a very democratic and encompassing and welcoming thing. And for people who just want to leave it so that, people who, shouldn't be here don't show up here. That bothers me. It bothers me in a lot of ways. I think we're even seeing that, one of the replies I said was, well, okay, that's fine, but, hey, Facebook doesn't have animated GIFs, and we have animated GIFs, and what do we do with those animated GIFs? Well, we have animated GIFs of cats. Yeah, I love cats. Yeah. I've got one sitting on my lap at the moment, but quite honestly, I don't like animated GIFs of cats all the time. That junks up my stream just as much as, some things junk up other people's stream on Facebook. Let's not be classist. Let's be welcoming. Let's give the tools to people that are welcoming, and let's get as many people to Google Plus as we can. Because honestly, if we don't get all those people, Google is going to shut it down.
All right.
And we know they are because they've done it before.
They have. They shut a bunch of other stuff down, and we've had a whole discussion about that. Okay, I'm going to check out this the chat room in a sec. But let me go to Antonio's first-time caller. I saw a post he had put up. Antonio, you got to pronounce your last name for me, buddy.
Giaquinto.
I'm glad I didn't attempt that. Antonio, you put a post up that was pretty interesting, and it was about philosophy, something that I don't know a whole lot about. But I thought your post was interesting, and you post a bunch of different things, but then you said you're going to make a point to, on not a regular but semi-regular basis, to pontificate. So tell me what that's about.
Well, I'd just like to start sharing some ideas, and what Priz was just saying about the class battle, I think it's very relevant because Google Plus, to me, does something that makes it so easy to exchange ideas and to give each other positive feedback and to elaborate on ideas and just take something from nothing and build it into something great. And for me, I just see so much potential to do good, to use social media to do as much good as possible for the enlightenment of people in general, for more respectable interactions, and just overall, exchange of ideas. To me, is what it's all about. For me, Twitter makes that kind of difficult because it's not a lot of characters you can write with, and every single philosophy-related thing requires a lot of words. Facebook doesn't really do it for me because it doesn't have the massive viral effect that you can achieve with something like Twitter. But Google Plus kind of seems to be a combination of the two. And I've spent a lot of time here just kind of watching what everyone's been writing about, and I haven't really contributed much of my own. And given how much I like to write, I figure why not share? That's what it's about on Google Plus. So I just kind of want to share my thoughts about anything and everything.
I don't want to sound elitist, but is it me, or does it seem like the crop of people are a lot more interesting and smarter, more worthy? The posts on Google Plus seem more worthy of my attention than the Facebook or anything else. Is that me? What do you think, Antonio?
This, of course, goes to what Priz was just saying about how we kind of want to avoid elitism. I think you can make that statement, but you can't look down on people who aren't really participating in the perception of more interesting posts or more respectable conversation. Ultimately, because it's a free society. People do what they want to do, and for people on Google Plus, they obviously prefer having these intellectual conversations, respectable conversations. I haven't seen much on Google Plus what I've seen on Facebook, which is people just ripping each other to shreds and arguing. And I mean, on Facebook, for example, I just got back from Sicily last month. Before I went there, my friend posted a article about Bush and how he thought Bush was this great president. And I noticed there was like 26 comments or something, the first 10 comments were all people employing ad hominem attacks. You know, Bush was a stupid idiot. He was a moron. He was as worthless as a turd. And, you know, I wanted to avoid saying whether Bush was good or bad because I tend to kind of avoid political conflict. But when I said that, there was a person who looked at my profile and said, "Oh, I see you went to Catholic University. Since you went to Catholic University, you must be religious. As such, you have no reason or right to speak to me about logic." And that's I was so offended, but I told the guy, I was like, you know, I'm sorry for you. I really hope you grow up, because you don't know me at all, and you're making a judgment based off of where I went to school, and I'm trying to encourage you to have a good exchange of ideas, a respectable change of ideas, because people who were disagreeing with each other started, you know, attacking each other's character. First they started attacking the characters of the politicians, then they started attacking the character of each other. And I was just trying to tell them to use some logic, to actually make some arguments. And then I get attacked for the university I went to and how that implies to, yeah, I see that chat comment. Yeah, I did judge him a little bit. I'm sorry, I'm human. But
well,
regardless,
do you find it more receptive here, Antonio? Do you find the quality of the exchanges? Have you met people have you met more people here that you find interesting and that you can talk about or talk about things with, as opposed to?
I'm sorry, go on.
I mean, do you find how do you compare the community here in those terms, as far as trying to have a debate on something like that? Do you find? I would think it's a lot easier to find people here than because there's more data than on Twitter, obviously, right? If you go to my page here, there's a lot more information. I have an about page and all this stuff. It's not just a little tiny about field. And if you're looking for certain people, even though there's not a good search function yet, obviously Google will probably have a fairly good search function when they get one. But I would think it is the best of both worlds. And do you find that folks are are you discovering, like, oh, this person's really cool and I'm so glad I found this person, and it was only because of Google Plus? Otherwise you wouldn't have ever met the person or been able to exchange ideas with them on the level that you can?
Absolutely. I mean, I say it pretty clearly in the post that you found. I'll just read from it for a second. Most importantly, the people I've seen on Google+, the respectable, friendly, and truly creative energies everyone I've seen here demonstrates makes this platform far superior to any other social media I've encountered for philosophical discourse. That's for my interest, philosophical discourse. For other interests, I'm not going to make any assertions because I don't know enough about those other interests. But I would agree, yes, Google+, I think, fosters a better environment for, you know, an emphasis on good content, respectable exchanges, and, you know, overall sharing of ideas. And I love it. I still use my Facebook for a little bit, just to kind of talk to family and friends in Italy, plus some local friends. But as far as, you know, going somewhere to learn something or to talk to people I know who want to contribute to a good conversation, Google Plus is way better than that. I mean, I've tried to start some conversations on Facebook, and it never really works. It always kind of devolves into, you know, someone yelling at someone else about something that doesn't really matter. And, you know, I haven't encountered that on Google Plus.
Yeah,
so
I like it.
That's why I like
agree. Yeah, it's I don't think I've ever seen spam on here. I don't think I've ever been. I had one guy who was real mean. One guy who was just a hater, and I just blocked him. But you get that, you know. But generally, I find it's the neatest place. There's still cool stuff. Like most of my friends are not on here yet, right? And so I will post here, and we'll get X number, and here we'll have anywhere from 7 to 40 something people watching live, and then thousands watching afterward. but I'll bump. I want to get some more participation in the chat room and hopefully callers. So I'll put a quick note out, right? And I'll go to Facebook and put a note out because not everyone is on here. So it's still, there's still different things and different social avenues. And I think it's good because they are different. I don't think we should just have one. I don't think everyone should abandon Facebook or the people who are still using MySpace or Orkut, our Brazilian fans. And I think it's cool that there's many, and I think it's really interesting to watch as each of them scramble. Well, actually, Facebook's scrambling more to catch up with Google Plus, which is funny because Google Plus has like 5% of their users base. But obviously, Google has a clue and is pretty good at things. Despite their checkered past in social. So they're certainly a threat. And I think it's neat how Facebook is improving, looking at the circle feature and things like that, and the ability to follow someone's posts without having to friend them. That was sorely needed. I know a friend of mine is Jerry Falwell in Lynchburg, Jerry Falwell Jr., and he has 2 Facebook pages because he filled one up and the other one's almost full. So because you can only have 5,000 friends, and so I guess he has 2 phones or whatever, and he can update things. It's kind of a hassle, but that's an issue.
They've lifted that limitation now, Dan.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I just read somebody posted that this evening that they've now lifted the 5,000 limitation.
Wow, that's cool. We just had a quick Facebook week, little mini episode there. Okay. And I'll tell you, if you ever want to have a lively philosophical debate, very lively, just defend the names policy to prisoner one time, and we'll see. You will get a lively philosophical discussion. Okay, Priz, let's go to now in Google Plus, the British invasion. Tell me what that's about.
Well, first I want to thank Antonio. I mean, this is a case where I will disagree with a lot of what he said, but I'm glad he's finding the environment that he wants on Google Plus. I really hope people do find the environments that they want on Google Plus, because I think that's going to be the only way to make Google Plus a success. And honestly, I want Google Plus to succeed. Turning to some of these other topics, though, I do. I mean, I think it's a good product. I think it's a good platform. I think it's got a very long way to go until it succeeds, and I think Google certainly seems like they're trying their hardest to not let it succeed, but I sincerely hope that it succeeds. So let's look at some of these other topics this week. The British invasion. Earlier this week, let me pull it up so I can see what it is. Bradley Horowitz, who is one of the top guys in Google+, welcomed 3 of the major party leaders from the United Kingdom. That would be David Cameron, Ed Miliband, and Nick Clegg. Nick Clegg, I think I pronounced that right. Welcomed them all to the service, 3 brand new verified accounts. Lots of people jumped in hoping to see just how well they interacted. And just today, I saw another post that went and evaluated just how well they were interacting with their constituency. Now, first of all, we have to remember that at least one of them called for social networks to be heavily regulated, which I'm sure thrilled Google, and that's why they recruited him, I'm sure. And in the week that they've posted, they have, between the 3 of them, made 9 posts total, and a total of 2 replies to comments that were made on their page. So there hasn't really been a whole lot of interaction, really, which is, for a network that likes interaction, you kind of hope your people are going to interact. So, 3 British politicians. We'll see. We should see how they compare to the U.S. politicians who have joined.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many are actually on. I know, like, Newt Gingrich is obviously a U.S. politician, but he's really engaging. He does hangouts. He's really into it. I don't know how technically inclined all these guys are. If I saw like a Margaret Thatcher page, I would assume her staff, was updating it. But yeah, it'd be neat if you could chat with Nick Clegg. You know, he's the man. I'm afraid to say it. He's liberal Democrat, right? The
Liberal Democrats, yes. He's
Yeah.
the deputy prime minister.
Right. He was great in the debate. That was exciting, but that's a whole different thing. I wish I was doing the show when the debate went on. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Priz.
I only know that he's the leader of the Liberal Democrats because I hover over him and his hover card says he's the leader of the Liberal Democrats.
I knew when I was there. I forget who it was when I was in London. That was back in the 80s. I think Nick Clegg was probably 20 years old and not prominent in any party except perhaps college. Okay, high-flying photographers.
This has got to be probably one of the most exciting bits of news that hit Google Plus this week. It hit yesterday, and somebody posted a photo. You've seen a lot of photographs of the aurora borealis this week. It's been apparently some very nice pictures, some very nice shots. This person posted a photo of the aurora borealis from above the aurora borealis. And this is Ron Garan. Garan? I actually don't know how to pronounce his name. Posted a picture of the aurora borealis shot out the window of the space station. And he shot the picture himself. So we have a NASA astronaut currently on Expedition 28 to the International Space Station posting on Google+. And I was in a hangout with Natalie Villalobos this afternoon from Austin, and she indicated that she is working very closely with NASA to try to get some more astronauts on and actively doing community outreach using Google+. So I think that's kind of an exciting thing that's going on there. A lot of people are excited about it. This morning when I checked, about 5,000 people had had Ron in a circle. He's now up to 8,000, and that's still growing.
Okay.
So, and if you look at his profile, he's got some absolutely beautiful pictures that are shot, and they're all from the space station.
All right, you've got I see in our cheat sheet, you've got a link here. Okay. Yep. Cool.
The link there is to his profile.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, I went to a Catholic church when I was a little kid in Greece. My dad worked with U.S. embassies, and one of it was the guy when Neil Armstrong was on the moon. The guy was in the spaceship, orbiting or something. I forget. Or something along those lines. But that guy was, I met him. I don't remember his name. But I was little, so I can forget things, right? Okay, cool. All right, let's see here. We've got Hangouts in the news. I remember there's some controversy, but it was false controversy. Everyone wants to get hits on their blog, right? So they can get that, $6 a month in Google ad revenue. And so they blow stuff up. Business Wire, which I love, but does this a lot. They'll put some BS headline on something and blow it up. But the first thing I saw this, I think it was one of the first times someone used it. It was CNN, and they had Chiron, like I have the red thing on the bottom of the screen, and it was covering up the thing to all the other little squares. But they just wanted to make it a cleaner shot, and they try to make it like they're trying to hide the fact that they're using a Google Hangout when any moron who's familiar with the Google Hangout would recognize it immediately as a Google Hangout. What's the point in trying to hide that? And so, but yeah, it's a powerful tool, and I'm getting ready. This is probably the first week we don't have one, or the last week we won't have one. But I'm testing now. I've got two computers, and I've got one hooked up in time for the show, and the second one I'm going to do a Google Hangout. So, like, if Prisoner wants to, instead of calling, he can do the Hangout. That'll work great. So, anyway, tell us about Hangouts literally in the news.
Well, apparently, and this has been one that's been growing over the past few weeks, and I need to actually figure out details on this one, because the article I keep finding has been overly vague. But apparently, there is a newsroom at KOMU and unfortunately I forgot to look up exactly where KOMU is located, that has increasingly been integrating their news program with Hangouts. So during commercial breaks and during promos, they'll be bringing people in on Hangouts and interviewing them. And now they're aiming to do that more and more live on the air, on broadcast over-the-air television. So they've and part of what they're doing as well is trying to work with their local community as well, and getting more webcams in the libraries, and getting more people out there and able to interact directly with the newscasters. Now, so far, at least from what they've said in this article, I wouldn't exactly call it news. I'd call it human interest stories that they're using through Hangout. But, Hangouts in a lot of ways are very human interest type activity, so that kind of makes sense. I think what we're seeing here is, and you could probably speak to this better than I could, Dan, is trying to see how newsrooms, which are in a lot of ways been scrambling to figure out how they're going to deal with social media and social interaction and increased word of mouth on things. And here's a newsroom that's embracing it very strongly and saying, well, we'll rely on word of mouth, and we'll bring part of that right into the studio with us. So that's interesting. That's, first experiments, first steps, but I think it's exciting. I'm curious to see how this is going to develop.
Yeah, I've seen Skype used in this capacity. I remember I've seen the first time I saw it was Oprah Winfrey, who was being interviewed on, I don't know, one of the morning shows or something along those lines, and she was coming in via Skype. And of course, on the internet, it's very common, but the quality is quite good. This is we're using Blog Talk Radio to hear you, and then I'm getting ready to bring in. I want the ability to bring in a Google Hangout, as I said. I think it's neat. What I've seen is the video quality is okay, but a lot of that is if you light your shot and if you frame your shot. Like when I go on Skype, if I do it from here, it's the exact same thing you see right now, because I've got these giant lights in front of me and the backdrop and all this garbage around me. But yeah, I think it's exciting. I think it's, having 10 people in there or 9 other people other than the broadcaster who has to occupy a space. And then it's just democratic, and it seems to work, and people tend to be on pretty good behavior. Although the big Hangout had one issue where the Hangout that was continuously on, it was like the longest Hangout ever, around week 3 of Google+. And I don't know if it's still going on. I hope so. But they had a problem with someone being naughty in the Hangout, and they didn't have a way to boot them. But apparently there is a way. I just saw that, right? There is a way to kick somebody out of a Hangout now. So there. So if Prisoner's in a Hangout and he just loses it, you can kick him out now. So we're all safe. Okay, cool. All right, so what do we got next? We got share plus snippets from Google Maps to Google. What's that about? Prisoner, are you there?
I think he said in chat that he's on the other line.
Oh, okay. All right, that's cool. All right, well, let me, Anthony. There's an Anthony and there's an Antonio. Anthony, what do you think so far, what you heard?
About the Google Maps thing?
No. Just, what do you think, how do you compare, you use Facebook, right?
Right.
Yeah, what do you think? Because like I see Scott was in the chat room earlier. He said it well. Let me aggregate what he said. He said, to me, Facebook is like family in that we're communicating more with our close friends and or locals, while Google Plus, we're choosing our friends more based on criteria such as like-mindedness. And then when he says family, I mean we're choosing these people for many more reasons than just like-mindedness. I think I agree with that. I think Facebook is folks who live in the area, because I live in 2 places, and have friends in both places, and or restaurants, that have friended me, that kind of thing. Tariq Salahi friended me last week. The guy whose wife just ran off with the Journey guitar player, apparently. He's a local guy, and so it's that kind of thing. It's local stuff, but I don't even have any idea. Prisoner I count as a friend, and I don't even have a clue what state he's in. I can't remember. I'm sure he's told me, and it doesn't really matter because it's just understood we're not going to be having coffee anytime soon, right? This is our venue. This is where we hang out here, and it's cool because we can see each other, we can talk to each other, we can write things and share things, and it's a whole different. Go ahead.
Here's the thing. I mean, I kind of get what people say about family and on Facebook. For me, Facebook mostly got populated with people who I personally know, who I have personally met. That's kind of how I define it. Now, almost none of them live very near me. I'd say only about 20 or so live close enough that I'd see them more than once or twice a year. That's fine. But when I went over to, one of the things that's always bothered me about Facebook is that there are some things that I want to share with some of them that I don't want to share with others, quite honestly. So when I moved to Google+, the thing that pulled me there was the privacy features of it. And I think the thing that pulled a good half of the people to Google+ wasn't that it was, not Facebook. It's that it had these privacy features.
Yeah, a lot of it you can duplicate. You can do a message on Facebook and then go in and select the 3 friends you want to share it with, and then it goes to all 3 of them. But it's a hassle. And you can also there were lists. I think they've done it easier now. But there was a list feature that nobody used, so that was similar to Circles. So that was cool. But you couldn't just you couldn't. I mean. This is way more efficient. Google Plus is way more efficient at that. It's more if I'm interested in the real name policy debate, then I would go to Prisoner and I would look at his friends and who has commented on his post, and I would circle them all, right? If I'm interested in philosophy, then I could go to Antonio's page and I could find folks who have commented or plus whatever and circle them. And I'll see any of their public posts, right? It's more efficient. If you're interested in science or if you're interested in the environment, you could find Al Gore's page if he has one, and probably everybody on there is an environmental interesting person. You know what I mean? It's just it's more. But
here's the thing: you could do that on Facebook too. I mean, there are pages there, there are topics there are themes there. In fact, if you go to somebody's page and they say they're interested in some topic, you can click on that topic and it will 9 times out of 10 take you to a page about that topic.
Yeah, so that's to some degree it's different though. A lot of the pages, the posts are automated. In fact, I have several and they're all automated. And they're just when I post here it goes out. But I find on Google Plus it's there's no way. I mean, I guess there's the thing, but there's no convenient, easy way to automate your posts, so that when there's
no convenient, easy way to automate your posts.
Right. So that's
not yet. We'll talk
good.
about APIs later.
That's a good thing though, because I know that if there's stuff, if there's stuff popping up on my page, I put it there, right, and vice versa, which is different, and I like that.
No, but you don't. I mean, as opposed to being on Facebook where I know that if it pops up on my page, it's because I want it to be there. What's the difference?
No, the difference is one of the complaints that I think Scoble had, or I forget who, about Twitter, was that a lot of it is automated stuff. Like my newspapers. Whenever we print something, I have 3 newspapers. All 3 of them have a Twitter account, and when we put anything on the site, a new story or a new issue, then it automatically gets tweeted. And then on my Facebook, whenever I put something on my WordPress blog, it automatically posts it to Facebook.
So Dan, you're telling me that when Google Plus rolls out this feature, you're not going to want it.
No, I didn't say that at all. I just said I think it's cool that there isn't that feature now. I'm not going to abandon the show and all of you people. You may have been wrong. I'm not passionate about it. I just thought it was neat. I mean, that was the extent of my.
I mean, let me put it this way. I publish a blog. If you look at my post, you'll see that I have a blog that I publish. It's not a huge blog. When I do a post, I manually go to Facebook and I post. I manually go to Twitter and I post, and I manually go to Google Plus and I post. Now, what's the difference if I have done that manually versus if I have written a program to automatically post on Twitter, automatically post on Facebook, and oh, gee, I can't automatically post on Google Plus yet? What's the difference?
I just said I think it's neat that everything, because it's new and there's no automated way, everything I look at is usually by the person, except Madonna's page, which apparently is by her staff. But I don't know if I've strongly held views about it. I just made an observation. It was neat. I don't think it's something,
okay.
We need to step outside, Priz. All right.
I think it's a friendly discussion, but I think it's one of these that starts getting into something that I think I started addressing earlier. That if we start thinking about how, hey, it's real people posting behind all of these things and not some automated machine. But over on Facebook, they've got over on Facebook and Twitter, it's all automated, it's all fake, it's all synthetic. Well, does that start turning into an elitist thing again? I don't know.
Okay. So tell me about maps. Let's go from Dan's elitist philosophy to maps.
Well, let me finish up with. I don't mean to say that it's Dan's elitist philosophy.
I'm being flippant. I was being flippant.
Okay.
I'm just yanking your chain.
Well, it's not even. I'm accusing you or anybody of saying that. It's a concern I've got. I hear it more and more people talking about how, they hope will be able to preserve the spirit of Google Plus when the masses come, and that I just get worried because I want Google Plus to be great, but I want everyone to be here and see that it is great. Google Maps. So we had a blog post and the first of many new product announcements coming out this week. This was posted on Wednesday, where how on Google Plus there's a share button in the upper right-hand corner, and you always kind of wondered what it was going to be there for. Well, now more and more we're seeing more Google products across the board do something with that share button, and the first prominent place that it's happening is on Google Maps. So now, if you're using Google Maps, just like you always do, and you click on the share button, what you are looking at that moment on Google Plus, on Maps will be shared to Google Plus. And it does it using a technology they call Plus Snippets, which is something they've also implemented for the Plus One button on anybody's website who uses Plus One now. That basically the author of the web page can control exactly what gets shared on Google Plus. So it's a very deliberate integration. It's a very small but significant first step, and I think we're going to be seeing this in more and more Google products really soon.
Is it a swipe at Foursquare? Is it hey, I'm at this coffee shop, come join me? Everyone who's in the LA area. I mean, what's the practical application for this?
The practical application. I mean, it's one of those things that it turns into. Well, if you're doing maps, there are a whole bunch of practical applications for it. So, for example, if I'm looking at directions and I need to send somebody directions how to get to my house, I can go to Maps, I can look at it, and in the past I'd either have to send them a link or send them, some detailed directions. Now all I need to do is share it with them, and I share it with a person, I can share it with a circle. If I'm looking for a restaurant in a particular area, I could use Google Maps to locate restaurants that meet my criteria, look at it at a map, click on it, and share it with the people who I want to go out to dinner with. I can see a lot of different applications for this. It's not huge and revolutionary because, again, you could have shared links in the past. There was always that link feature from Google Maps. But this is this takes it one step easier. And okay. I think I think the big thing here is to point out that Google has begun integrating everything that's currently under Google's umbrella into Plus.
I've lost Justin TV's got we've lost that, but we're still recording the recorded version. So I'm not sure what's going on. I'm gonna try to shut it off and then turn it back on again. I don't know if it's Justin or if it's me. And got an error. Oh gosh. Okay, hang on. Yeah, we're gonna have to do a part 1 and part 2. Oh man, what a pain. Oh. All right. Man, yeah, I've lost callers. I have lost the streaming ability, and I have Wirecast has just crashed as a result. So I've got to. Let me see if it's coming back on now. Man. Yeah, I'm not sure what the deal is here. I apologize. Give me a sec. I'm trying to see if I can get it to cut back on or what's going on. This is 2011, 09, 016.